going on, guys? Doc Lamau here, and today we're going to go over my helmet setup. Let's go ahead and get into it. So this helmet is an FMA bump helmet. This is a Gen 2 style Ops Core helmet, and I say that because I used to have the Gen 1 FMA bump helmet. But I'll tell you what, guys, this upgraded version, this is not upgraded, but it's updated, right? This is FMA's take on the Gen 2 Ops Core helmet, and they've made a lot of really good improvements with their replica. It's a better feeling plastic. The pads are so much better. The retention dial, the suspension system dial, actually tightens to your head and doesn't come loose over time. It's a better fitting helmet. It's the pads are better. Everything about this helmet is just better. So if you are struggling to find a large / extra large airsoft helmet, highly recommend this guy. The large extra large from the previous version, the previous gen FMA helmets, was way too big. I went through so many different helmet pads to try to make that thing fit my head correctly. It was always lopsided. I could never get it to stay right. This thing out of the box fit my head like a glove. All right, so I figure we might as well start with the daytime setup. So here's the GoPro, and I wanted you to see this mount real quick with it on my head. So you can see I'm getting a really good POV angle right now, and the camera itself, the GoPro, is not in line with my eyes. It's not covering up my my main line of sight. It's not even really covering up my peripheral vision too much either. So the brain exploder mounts, if you've seen those, I used to have one of those. That's what I was using up until within the last year or so. I switched to this one, which is mounted to a Wilcox G24, as you can see right here. It saves you one extra step when you transition from your daytime setup to your nighttime setup. That being said, let's go ahead and take this off my head. I'll give you a better angle, a better camera view of what we're talking about. All right, we got the helmet off my head here. Here's a better view of that mount. So there's the brand. Once again, I don't even know where exactly this comes from, but I know it's from China origins. This mount is full metal. The Wilcox G24 is full metal. This GoPro case I have is full metal. So this is a very durable and reliable GoPro mounting solution. I have way more trust in this because the brain exploder mounts are 3D printed materials. They're plastic, right? The only trade-off is the distance between the helmet and the GoPro is a little bit more than what you're going to get with that brain exploder mount. So, but that is a compromise I'm willing to take. I'd rather have something that's going to be more durable, and especially the way I tied this thing down. You can see I have a little wire that I put around the mount, and then my little retainer clips on the NVG shroud are both clipped onto that. So not only is this going to ensure that in case this thing does get knocked loose and it falls off the helmet, not only does it ensure I'm not going to lose the GoPro, it's actually providing some extra tension to keep the camera from like moving around too much. So theoretically, I'm going to have even smoother footage. So there you go. This aluminum case, when I got it, it was skeletonized, so it did not have any coverage on the very front of the camera. So I went ahead and added a piece of Lexan right here. Also added more on the sides. I left a little gap there so I can make sure I can turn the camera on and off with my fingertip. Even if I have gloves on, I did test it to make sure I can still turn this on and off while wearing gloves. And then yeah, I left a little gap there for the microphone to make sure that I get nice clear audio for you guys. I also have a aftermarket lens. This is a camera butter lens, and it is made out of Corning Gorilla Glass. So theoretically, this will be more shatter resistant than your standard GoPro lens. So airsoft, right? BBs hitting your GoPro. Went ahead and just a little bit of extra piece of insurance there. Also, if you can tell, it has raised lips that are metal on the lens. So that'll once again protect it if I run into something in the middle of the night, or if I run into a big branch and I don't see it coming, whatever. That will add some extra protection to the lens. I want to have as much of a watertight solution for charging as possible. So the USB-C cable is by Nest Out, and it does have a little rubber gasket around the base of the cable housing, whatever you want to call it. Between that and the fact that the USB-C charge port is pretty recessed inside of this case, once I plug it in, There we go. That should be a pretty watertight charging solution. That's the goal. Over here, I have a Streamlight Compact 2 helmet light. And you can see it's mounted to a little clip that clips onto the side of the helmet. And yeah, with this mount, it can spin 360, it can rotate 180 degrees. So a very easy to position light whenever you need to, point this thing directly. It's a great task light, that's what this is. So it has a white light, blue, red, and it even has an infrared mode. You might be able to pick that up. I don't know. But yeah, so it can change colors, and also when you press and hold it, changes the intensity of the light, as you can see there. And when you let go, it's going to stay at that intensity. And when you flip it off and you turn it back on, it defaults back to the lowest intensity. So especially if you have this thing kept on the red light mode, it ensures you're not going to have too bad of a negligent discharge of your light. And then especially with my real sim event coming up, the Operation Cold Saber that we're attending as White Horse Milsim, blue is the dead light color once again, so that's why I have this thing on here too. It also doubles as a dead light. Moving to the arc rails, I have my Peltor Comtac Vs mounted here. I'm a big fan of having electronic hearing protection for Milsim, because when you go to these Milsim events, a lot of them nowadays have blank fire, and a lot of them especially are going to have pyro. So when you go into a building and someone's throwing some tagging grenades, those things are very loud indoors, so it's important to have some hearing protection. Or if you are staying next to a guy who's running a blank fire and all of a sudden he starts opening up on somebody that he sees, once again, you're going to be thankful that you have some active hearing protection. Of course, you can get away with just having the standard foam earplugs. Those work great. But right, when you have those things in, you lose a lot of your situational awareness. That's why I like having the Peltors. Now, these are real Peltor Comtac Vs, guys. These are expensive, but hey, I'm all about the LARP, and I wanted to have the real deal. And I do wear these things to the range if I go shooting my real steel firearms. Yeah, I have a Glock, so there you go. I like to go ahead and shoot that thing, and having the Peltors makes it really easy to talk to the guy you're staying next to while you're having some fun at the range. If you are just getting into Milsim and you're thinking about picking up some helmet-mounted electronic hearing protection, I highly recommend the Howard lights. I started with the Walker Razor Slims, and those things are very bulky on your head. I had a really hard time getting a good cheek weld on my my rifle stock, aiming down sights with the Walker Razor Slims on my head. So stay away from those if you're going to try doing helmet mounted. Try the Howard lights. Those are supposed to have a smaller footprint. But if you are thinking about picking up some Peltors, I recommend it, man. I think you'll have a good time with them. I do have them mounted onto the Peltor arc rail adapters. How they work is, try to give you a better angle. Let's give you the best angle possible. When I clamp them down, they're clamped nice and tight. And then if you want to unclamp them, this is the resting position for them. It keeps them venting off of your ears. So if you're getting really hot under your hearing protection, you can pop them out and give your ears a break, let them cool down, let them get some sweat, or let them evaporate some sweat, right? But this way you're also not losing your comms. So these do have the single down lead. So this is your down lead cable, and this is the standard NATO pin wired plug, whatever it's called. I have it secured to the back of the helmet right now just to keep it from, dangling and getting stuck on things, hanging down loose in front of your face. But this thing can plug into your PTT connector. So it's just a better, it's a sneakier way, a more tactical way to run your radio, but I'm not doing that these days. As if you saw my plate carrier video, I kind of got tired of that. Now I'm actually just using a standard speaker mic. My thought process is if I'm doing a patrol or if I am like pulling fire watch, I don't have to have my helmet on my head at all times. As soon as you unplug your headset from a standard PTT, you lose all audio. So it's either wear your helmet and hear your comms or nothing. So I wanted to be able to hear my comms regardless of what my helmet situation is. All right, so on top of the helmet, I have this is a strobe. This is going to be used as my main dead light for Milsims moving forward. This is an S&S Precision Manta strobe. Why did I go ahead and get a real strobe? Because I wanted to. Simple as that. So to turn it on, you press the button. It vibrates to let you know it's on. And it has these little buttons, one on each side. So you press them both together at the same time. Gotta do a little bit longer. There we go. It's in another IR mode. And then now we're in solid blue. And there's the white with solid light color. Just like Call of Duty, it's pretty awesome. I did go ahead and get the blue model because once again, for Milsim, that's their deadlight color. I'm gonna try to make it to as many Milsim events as possible moving forward. So I figure this will be a good use. If I want to go to like Milsim West, I will just go ahead and pop on a red light for my dead color. I will tell you as another affordable option, because I'm trying to do that for you guys, right? For those of you who are newer to Milsim, I don't want you to think that you should go ahead and get the same stuff that I'm using. I used a less expensive stuff for a long time, for like years, before I eventually upgraded along the way. I didn't go ahead and upgrade all at once either. You know, it took me years before I acquired all this stuff. I slowly collected it over time as I saved up my money. So what I was using before this was really, really nice, and I would still be using it if I didn't lose it. It was a Nightcore strobe from Amazon. It was like $29. I'll throw a link for you in the description for those of you who want to check it out. Highly recommend it. Just like this task light, it had different lighting modes. It could do red, it could do blue, it could do green, and it could do infrared. It had different modes for each of those colors. It could do a solid color, it could do flashes, all sorts of different things. And it was USB-C rechargeable. That thing was great. It was water resistant. Like the list goes on and on. It was a really great light for $29. But the one flaw it had is it came with like it was two pieces. You had the light and then you had the mount that actually Velcroed to your helmet. And the light easily disconnected from that mount. There like 3 or 4 separate times I lost that thing, and 3 times I looked out and I found it on the ground. But that 4th time, it's gone. I have no idea where it went. My tip would be to just glue it. Just glue that light right to the mount so that way it can't come out. So decided I'm going to use it as an opportunity to upgrade and get a really cool light. So if we follow the cable back to the back of the helmet, we get to the battery pack. This is a Nest Out 15,000 milliamp power bank. It's a big beefy boy. And I got this thing because theoretically it should keep my GoPro charged throughout an entire 40-hour Milsim. I've had instances in the past where my GoPro died and I ran out of battery pack juice. So that was pretty frustrating. So I got a bigger guy. I upgraded from a 10,000 milliamp to a 15,000 milliamp, and it's been great so far. It is a little bit heavier in the back of the helmet compared to the front, but not too bad. Like if I just balance it, it's pretty balanced. The battery pack pouch holder, whatever you want to call it, is by Forge Concepts. Just to give it a better look. This thing is really awesome. Big fan of this. It's more of a minimalist style. It provides great retention, but it is very low profile. I chose this because it's like one of the only battery pouches on the market that I could find that looked like it would hold this big power bank. Very pleased that it does fit this big beefy battery. So this USB-C cable, by the way, is pretty long. So I have the excess held down right in the back of the helmet with some Velcro. And I just went ahead and stuck it right to a little sticker of hook, and then with some Velcro one wrap sticking right to that. But yeah, it keeps it all nice and contained back there. Another reason why I like the Forge Concepts pouch here is it's really easy to keep a 90-degree USB-C cable adapter like snug to the battery pack. So as you can kind of see here, it's being held nice and tight. It's not gonna pop out on its own. That was also important to me. Last but not least, on the top of the helmet, 2 things to talk about actually. Number one is I do have a cable tie down for the Manta strobe, because once again, this is a little bit of an expensive strobe, so I didn't want to lose it. Went ahead and made sure that that thing is tied down. It's not going anywhere, as you can see. Now lastly, I have strips of electrical tape on the top of the helmet. I've seen some cool guy helmet setups where they like just put duct tape on the top of their helmet. My thought process is, with my combat engineer role, since electrical tape is a required item for my role, why not just do it with electrical tape? So I fold it over the ends to make them easier to grab onto, especially if I'm wearing gloves or if it's the middle of the night. I can quickly just feel for this and I can rip it right off the helmet, and now I got some electrical tape ready to go. All right, moving on to my nighttime setup. This is my night vision device. It is a digital night vision monocular by Akaso. This is the Akaso Sight 300, as you can kind of see right there. This thing's really nice. I got this on Kickstarter. I think retail this thing's going to be around $300. I did get it at a discount, of course, because I bought in early through Kickstarter. I don't know when it's going to hit the market, but I know that it's going to probably sometime later in 2026, if not early 2027. But this thing's super cool. Like, I'm very happy that I got it. I didn't have very high hopes because, you know, it's a Chinese digital night vision device, and typically they're not always that great, but been very pleasantly surprised. Here, I'll see if I can give you a quick preview of what the footage looks like when you look through this. And just to show you what the lag is. It's barely noticeable, guys. Let's go ahead and throw some B-roll footage up on the screen for you so you can see what this Akaso 300 can do. Oh, sorry, Ars. Didn't see you there. Hi, buddy. Alright, so here's with all the lights turned off in the house except for some ambient light coming from underneath this door. And from some devices we have, like this air purifier. It's a very noisy picture, but you can make out some shapes. This is the 60 FPS mode, by the way. So this thing is not really seeing any better than my naked eye. But if I turn on a very low power IR light, this is the lowest power out of the Streamlight Compact 2. All of a sudden I can see everything, and it's way less fuzzy. The frame rate's kind of picked up because there's just more info for the sensor to pick up. So yeah, as far as usability with IR light's concerned, this thing's pretty great. But if you're just quickly entering, right, if you're LARPing and you're trying to do something tactical, This is not a very usable image if you're just doing a quick scan. It's not usable until you turn this IR light on. And once again, this is a really low power one. I can bump up the brightness. This is the full power IR light. Now all of a sudden it's very usable, right? So now it's off. Yeah, don't plan on doing too much cool guy stuff in very dark environments with the Akaso Sight 300. But I hope it's going to work great for airsoft. We'll find out. This is a little initial review, if you will. I'll have a full review coming later on after I've actually gotten a chance to use it at a full Milsim event. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Is this thing worth 300 bucks? But yeah, I've been very pleased with the Akaso Sight 300 so far. I do have a piece of Lexan that I'll put some, I will basically tape it semi-permanently around the actual lens to protect it from some BB shots. I did do one mod to it so far other than the piece of Lexan. Went ahead and add my own little wire tie down, very similar to what I did for the GoPro and for the Manta Strobe. Actually, sorry, one more mod I did. Two more mods. You can see there's a big screw, two big screws. You can probably see right here, actually, I glued, I used some G5 West System epoxy, very strong stuff, very rock solid. Because this little joint, whatever you want to call it, this little joint where the two parts meet together and you screw it tight, it did not screw tight. Even if I screwed it all the way tight as possible, there was a lot of play between the two different parts. So that's why I went ahead and used some epoxy to really take all the play out of that joint. The last thing I did was, this does have a screen on the very top of the device, so I took some electrical tape and just taped over it to keep that from giving my position away in the middle of the night. But yeah, this is a USB-C charging device. It does have a SD card slot that can take up to a 512 gigabyte SD card, and it records in 4K. It has two modes. It has the black and white mode, which you just saw, which is more sensitive. It's a more sensitive viewing mode, and then it has a full color mode as well, because it's basically a camera, right? These digital night vision devices are all basically cameras. Well, there you have it, guys. That's my tactical Milsim airsoft blah 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 helmet setup. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you have anything that you would change, anything that you would do differently, or anything you just think is awesome, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear it. I appreciate you guys watching to the end as always, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace out.